So hello again, I'm still the last one. So I will present you this moment not the result of a different research project as you saw for the different previous clusters, but the journey of our research community that started in the Innovation for Resilience cluster, but that is really gathering colleagues from other colleagues that leads to projects that really gather many colleagues in the Risk Institute, which is about readdressing citizenship in risk management through citizen data. So we'll talk about citizen participation, which was really at the core of a reflection of the Innovation for Resilience cluster, because this is something that many scholars have really long advocated, the need for taking into account stakeholders, citizen participation. And we have a lot of now projects and a lot of discussions about citizen participation in public discourses, in policies at every scales. But we really need to assess the impact and the way it is managed and the impact of these implications in this participation, especially when it is based on the spread of digital technologies. So at the beginning, in the Innovation for Resilience cluster, we try to really explore different dimensions and try to build our reflection on the basis of regular exchanges, as I mentioned this morning, with the multidisciplinary webinars, to build a research community. As I said, that was the first time that these different reflection, empowerment, innovations, design were put together. Probably identify common research object and finally try to design a research project. So this is this journey I will show you. And in this reflection, in this academic or scientific journey, we have different sciences, natural sciences, social sciences, and engineering sciences. So first, as I said, the year 22-23 has really involved researchers in these discussions around the regular hybrid online and face-to-face workshop with 20 presentations from external speakers. And there were a lot of time for discussions between the speakers and the researchers, but also among the researchers of a Risk Institute. And this was a great workshop with 20 permanent participants and more or less 40 regular participants to the workshop. So we explore empowerment, public policies, digitalizations, user-centered design, territorial vulnerabilities. I will describe quickly this workshop with three sections. I would say free time. In autumn, we talked about digitalization of public services. In winter, the new trends in collaborative design and especially user-centered methodologies. And in spring, we focused on territories. And now we are in the second year, and the project, the workshop is dedicated to citizen data, which is the object we have decided to go deeper into. So the first step was to discuss about citizen participation, and we started with crisis management with the three presentation from researchers and operationals from the city of Grenoble about participation. Johnny Douvinet has presented a great presentation about a warning system in France and the building of the warning France Alert system, where it really put in highlight. I think there is a problem because I think this should be. Yeah. I think this should not be. I'm sorry. There is a mistake in the definition. So Johnny Douvinet really shows us how long it was to design such technology facing issues in covering the whole territory, but also the message definition and the impacts according to the message you send to a citizen regarding any kind of issue. Antonin Segaud has presented his research about the Tokus tsunami and the use of citizen use of tools to assess the contamination risk in their area of a tsunami and the nuclear accident. And he's also worked about the different kind of networks that has been involved in producing knowledge that were in open access methods. And then Laurence Creton-Cazenave, who is working in the city of Grenoble, has presented local initiative about creating a citizen committee to help the city to manage the COVID-19 crisis. All this discussion show us how it was important first to see that there were existing knowledge among citizens, and this knowledge were very important. For example, computing knowledge, for example, knowledge about risk contamination, but also knowledge about how people live in the neighborhood, for example, and the risk of isolating people, isolation, and so on. But also, what they really put into in the light is that there's different whatever, which is, for example, the Wikipedia or whatever system developed by authorities or developed by citizens, and need a lot of maintenance work to really be operational. And this work is most of the time underestimated. So then we have a session about the digitalization of public services with a colleague from the University of Belgium, who has presented the digitalization of public services linked to public transport. And especially she shown the move of engineers using big data and especially traces of people using transport with the use of website, with the use of the applications of a company, to have information about how do people use the transport. And she explained how the way that engineers really focus their interest and their the collection of data about users, transportation users, on digital traces completely change the way they define what is a user in a city of transportation. And she really highlights how it creates these big data and web traces, create the illusion for engineers that they really access to real life, and that also create really inclusiveness issues, because the user they can see with this kind of tool are people that are already connected and that use digital tools. So that means that we are completely blind about people that do not use this kind of digital tool. Then Marina Aldada shows us her very interesting work about the use of mobile phone to monitor maternity, pregnancy, in the global south, especially in India and in South Africa, And she really show how the use of this digital tool is based on business model where you have an exchange between the fact that you have free monitoring for people that are have no money, but that creates a very amount of data that have a very big value for industrial company in pharmaceutics industry. So it creates also move in modify power relations at local level in the relationship between mothers and caregivers and the healthcare system, with a differentiation between hospitals that are connected to the system and those who are not, and also power relations at the international level with the state, NGOs, and this big company that collect data. Finally, Marine Berthoud talked about the use of video conference during the COVID-19 crisis by physicians, and she also showed how the use of this technology was completely driven by the fear of a crisis, this long COVID-19 crisis. So physicians used this technology, even they had doubts about privacy and a lot of questions. So this set of presentation told us about how technologies could shape practices, change in the way tools are designed, users are considered, citizens are represented through these technologies, but also create side effects such as inclusivity issues and power redistribution. I will not develop everything, but to say that it was very rich. Then in the second time, we have a presentation about a user-centered methodology and new trends in design. Lucia Corsini has presented the makers movement during the COVID-19 and makers involvement during the COVID-19 crisis. Morgan Mayer talked us about the low-tech movement. Dimitri Volmy and Kirst Borsma here teach us about the living lab. So all these presentations help us to understand how the public's participation in designing in these methodologies, which we try to empower them, requires completely to rethink the dialogues between the different forms of equally legitimate knowledge. That means that all these methodology in user-centered design methodologies try to think differently the knowledge that of people, and it's not in a way experts' knowledge and citizen knowledge, but really to consider that all are equally legitimate. And it calls for really change in methodology to get that. Finally, the presentation about innovation and territories with Nicolas Buclé and Adrien Sonnet teaches how local resilience rests on particular socio-techno-ecological systems, of the importance of locality, the importance of each territory, and the importance for local communities to take control on their resource and on the opportunity, this territory, and the definition of desirable territory and desirable future is important. Well, with this and this main result, with main discussion, we get into the idea that, and also probably because we saw a lot of discussion about the use of citizen science and citizen data in risk management, we have decided to explore this question, this research question, which is to what extent can citizen data-driven initiatives improve risk management and popular resilience through empowerment. So I will not discuss be too long about what is citizen data. It started with biodiversity. Now we have a lot of projects everywhere in the world. It's very huge. Citizen science is very huge research field. And really, it was really developed with the use of crisis with digitalization, and the idea is that we could make this meeting between what brings citizen science and the use of digital tools, because we saw that in crisis management, for example, like in IT or any other crisis, citizens really use social media, use digital tools to inform their family, to communicate with a lot of stakeholders. So it could be an opportunity. But it also raises a lot of questions about how data making is defined. What are the data produced? We have several very interesting workshops from the beginning of this year about air sensors or about biodiversity sensors that showed that even if the protocol has been completely defined by scientists, the data that are produced are really depending on the context and the way citizens adopt and use these sensors, even if they are very simple. So we have very differences between ordinary contexts and laboratories, issues of reliability, issues of maintenance, issues of regulation, of course, of this data. Another issue is related to citizen and data governance, because most of the citizen projects, citizen science projects are quite top-down. I would say that it's the idea that scientists define, or public communities, public services define the protocol, the procedures, the data they want, and then they ask citizens to collect data for them as they were citizen sensors. So it's a quite strange definition of the risk governance, I would say. So that question, what is participating in this way of doing participation? Who is participating? How do data are used by citizens who are members or are participating in this project? For example, for contests, for activism, and so on. So this is why we have decided to go into this question, because of the multidisciplinary social scientists, political science, geosciences, engineering science, we really feel that we can address these different issues. And we also have started in the recent month, projects. So one is led by Sandrine here, which is Regard d'altitude. We can translate by Summit Insight, which is involve people that are practicing mountains and essentially professionals of a mountain that can collect data about the change in their environment in the mountain in relation with climate change and different kind of possible hazards. But the idea is to design this application and this solution with these practitioners, with them, and with the idea that they could use it. It's not only to inform researchers, but also to create a platform, a solution that can be useful for professionals of the mountains. We also have, I would just say a word about Odysseus, which is also a project about the risk related to the presence of wolves in the Alps. So here it's very a project interesting because the presence of wolves in the Alps is very controversial debate. You have a lot of tensions at the national level, but also at the local level in the villages. And between administration, breeders, and so on. And a first survey we did 2 years ago highlight the need for a renewed dialogue between the different actors that are involved in this, especially farmers that feel really isolated regarding the risk and the consequences of the wolf's attack. So we try to foster the dialogue between science and between different type of knowledge system. And one first result you can see here down in the slide is to create a grid to understand the different kind of knowledge that would go over the idea that to separate citizen knowledge and scientific knowledge, and to say we can put every kind of knowledge in this grid, whatever it is scientific or it is created in practice, you see. So the idea is to define this knowledge, not with the grid, citizen, expert or non-expert, as usually we define it. So the idea is to try to create this symmetrical approach of knowledge. And then I go to the end with the project Citizen Data for Resilience. We are designing, so it's very in progress. It's very the first step, but we are designing it with colleagues of the Risk Institute, with colleagues of Swansea, with the colleagues from the University of Amsterdam, with Kiers who is here today. The idea we have started with defining basing on what I presented. So the result of these 2 years of reflections and this first project, 4 work packages of what could be a European project. The first one is about power redistribution. So the change in risk governance with the use of this kind of tool, trust, responsibility, policymakers and risk expert commitment in this kind of solution, and how the way their role change, but also private interest and especially market interest and insurance interest. We also have a work package dedicated to the socio-technical design of the data processing with computer scientists, data scientists, but also STS, researchers in STS, about defining what data we expect, how data circulate, what is the infrastructure, privacy issue, data access, data regulation, and so on. And what is very important for us is also to have this third work package about impact on academic activities, which is most of the time is completely forbidden. But it's one of the issue of this kind of project, to say, okay, what are the scientific expectations and scientific responsibilities if they produce their knowledge with this data coming from the field and from a lot of different places? Does it change academic methodologies, models, practices, and so on? And hazard understanding, of course. And finally, probably the most important work package is about local communities empowerment. So the idea is, do this participation and do the use of this citizen data, this data produce, change and improve local communities' resilience. So during the co-design, with the co-design methodologies, with the effective use, but also does it foster individual or collective resilience? And finally, does it reduce vulnerability? I have finished. Just to say that at this moment we have not defined the stage. We would like to work at every stage of risk management. That means and understanding hazards, prevention, alerts, warnings, crisis, and also reconstruction, rebuilding after the crisis. We have not defined the type of hazard we would like to go into, and we would like to compare different social contexts. Yes, and now we have not completely defined. We have decided to design the research program, and then we are looking at possible cost project or European Horizon European project. We have not defined yet, but it's just to show you the journey of this research community and cluster. Thank you.